until you start understanding that you are responsible for your life. You are responsible for everything that you do here on earth. You are responsible for your children. Until you come to that realization, then I don't know what you are doing here on this space, this planet. Let me start by giving you an example. I don't even have a topic, right? But let's share why people are joining. I want to put 7 of you, 9 now. I want to put you on a spot. Imagine you have a child. It could be a girl or a boy child. I just want you to imagine that. The child should be 5, 10, let's say between 5 to 10 years old. And this is a child that you have practically given everything. Okay? You are doing your best to give this child the life that you never had. Angela, welcome. You are doing your best to give this child the life that you never had. You provide the child with shelter, clothing, school, everything a child should have. Toys, the child eats out. Basically, the life you never had. But only for you to find out that your child is stealing. You are not a thief. The father is not a thief. Stealing does not run in your family. But this child, at this tender age, the child has been stealing in such a way that it's now bringing shame to the family. The child is stealing in such a way that it's bringing shame. People from the outside are beginning to notice that this child that you gave birth to is a thief. Wherever he goes, they accuse him of something that he has stolen, he has taken. Even from home, he's stealing. As a mother, what will you do? As a father, what will you do? Because this is not the child that you gave birth to. Now, there are 2 things an ignorant, average African parent will do. Ignorant parents will do this. Number 1, they will take the child to pastor to be prayed for. Secondly, use hard or harsh treatment on the child. You see, these 2 approaches has never solved anything. I'm telling you, you can ask questions. If you know any family that has produced a thief, ask them. That child started young, but the family tried to cover. The family tried to pamper the child, to cover the shame. They took him for prayers. They did, just prayers. Pastors prayed. They disciplined him. They denied the child food sometimes. They lock up the child sometimes, thinking that it is discipline that will solve the problem. I want you to think about it. A child that is well fed at home, a child that has everything given to him, whatever he needs, it's given to the child, has no reason to become a thief. Especially if the elderly one, if he has an elderly sibling that is not stealing, that one shouldn't be a thief. So why is this particular child stealing? You know why? Because it's a spiritual matter. Yes. So nobody sees it from that angle. That's why so many young children today have gone astray, because their parents were clueless. Your child suddenly started stealing, suddenly started behaving abnormal. Your child at 5, your boy child wants to be a girl. All you could do is to scream, to shout, to complain, but you can't see that it's a spiritual matter. You can't see that it's a spiritual problem. You cannot see that an enemy has done this. It could be a physical enemy or a spiritual enemy. It's possible somebody have spotted the destiny of your child, and because you as a mother, this person does not like you, they want to useless the child. They want to mess up with the destiny of the child so that the child does not amount to anything good for you. So by so doing, they distort the destiny of the child. What do? You start running from one pastor to another. What do you think pastor would do? Pastor will lay hands on the child and pray. You know what he's going to do? He will rebuke the spirit of stealing. Whereas the pot, the calabash, the padlock that is controlling the child is somewhere. But of course, it's the duty of a pastor to pray whenever you bring complaints. But most times they don't have solutions, except a spiritual pastor. I guess this falls under the subject of power, because this is where power is at play. I'll give you an example. Something that happened to me so many years ago when I was very young. I think I should be about 10 years old. I was born in northern Nigeria. I've never visited the east until there was this war that broke out. I don't know if it's the Abiola whatever crisis. Then my mother took me to her village. We went home. We left my dad behind in the north, so we went home. Then from my maternal side, it was a polygamous home. From the north, my mom warned me about her stepmother. I should not collect anything from her. I should not take anything. She gives me whatever it is I shouldn't eat. I said, okay. Right? Guess what? We got home. I met this stepmom. You know, she acts all sweet, you know, looking innocent. And one day she was peeling pawpaw, ripe pawpaw. I still remember vividly. And my mom was not there. And she called me by my native name. She said, come and take pawpaw. Remember, I saw her peeling the pawpaw. She peeled it in my presence. I went, took pawpaw and I ate. And I never told my mom that her stepmother gave me pawpaw and I ate. We stayed in the village. We went back to the north. When we got back to the north, my mom just brought me back to my dad, and because she was doing something at the east then, so she had to go back. One day, it was not up to 1 week that my mom left. I went to play soccer and I came back late. My dad had warned me to stop coming back late when I go out to play. So that day I came back late and my dad was angry, like, what's wrong with you? Haven't I warned you? Come here. The moment he said, come here, ordinarily when my dad said, come here, you crawl to him. Normally, you don't resist. But this time, immediately he said, come here. I went out again. I stood by the gate for hours. It was getting very dark, like 12, 1 a.m. And my dad couldn't bear it. He came out, he chased after me, and I ran. Guess what? That was the last time I was seen. I ran. I didn't sleep at home that night. 1 week passed, 2 weeks, 3 weeks. In fact, I never got close to our house again. I became a fugitive because I ate pawpaw from my stepmother. I still remembered it like yesterday. 1 month, 2 months, there was no telephone. There was no way they could have communicated what was happening to my mother. I was declared missing. Several times, the police will pull over with my pictures in their hands. They will look at me, look at the picture, missing person. They will look at me, look at the picture, and they will just get confused. But I could see my picture, but for some reasons, they will just look and say, go, he's not the one. Now, this is where the whole magic is. I was staying in some friend's house. These friends, I found them in the field where we were playing soccer. When it was nightfall, I followed them home. They were showering. I went to the shower with them. Guess what? They never asked me, where are you from? Who are your parents? You see this story, it looks like a joke, but it happened to me. They never asked me. For some reasons, their father fell in love with me because of the way I play soccer. So every day in the evening we will come out. Then I think the schools were not open because of that war that was going on. It was, I don't know the clash, but it has something to do with Abiola crisis then. I don't know if I'm mistaken, but something was going on in the north. I was eating in that house. I lived there. I will bathe there. I will look for clothes from other, but that man had a lot of kids. I think there were about 7 of them. So when I came, I became number 8. They became my family. My dad was looking for me. The police, they were looking for me. Nobody knew where I was. My dad went to pastors. They prayed, they did. Guess what? I was never found until my mother came back. The same day that my mother got home and asked, where is her son? They told her that I've been missing for 2 months. Over 2 months now. Hey, they said my mom almost ran mad. She just carried her wrapper, the one on the top. She tied it on the waist and dashed out. Guess what? My mom found me the same day. The same me that police couldn't find for over 2 months. Nobody could find me, but my mother found me the same day. I'm telling you. You see, that's why I have so much respect for women. Women are, you see, when I tell you that women are gods, you don't understand what I'm saying. I know. My mother was like, her only son. That's not possible. How can that be? What are they saying? She found me the same day. You know, when she left the house, she went straight to where I don't know. But guess what? I knew that that man was a babalao because my mom found me where I was playing soccer. According to her, she said she went to this man's place, a spiritualist, and said to him, her son is missing for 2 months. Please check. Is he still alive? The man says, he checked and said, yes, that I'm still alive. The man, through whatever means, he told my mom the exact street where I was, that she will find me playing soccer. That as soon as I see her, that I will make an attempt to run. because there is a spirit that has been projected in me by her stepmom that she must call me 3 times. Truly, she found me playing soccer, and the man that have been staying in his house, they were all outside, both with his friends and his little monkey. I still remembered it like yesterday. They were watching me the way I was dribbling my mate. Then I heard somebody called my name. I turned, it was my mom. Then she called 3 times. I stood where I was. My mom was like, "Come, my son, come. I'm your mother." I still remember she was saying it in our language. "I'm your mother." She was beating her chest like this. "I'm your mother. Come." And I walked towards my mom. I walked towards my mom. She took me straight to this man's house. I still remembered everything. I still remember the rituals that was done. That was it. Now, guess what? If my mother hadn't returned, or if my mother wasn't alive, could you imagine what would have become of me? What do you think would have become of my fate? A 10-year-old boy leaving the house for 2 months without a trace. I didn't tell you guys, even before I got to that particular house, because I don't think it was the same day. That same day I ran out, I slept at somebody's corridor. So imagine such boldness. What spirit? A strange spirit has actually taken over. So there are certain behaviors that when your children begin to behave, you must ask questions. You know your child. You ask yourself, no, this is not the child that I gave birth to. Something is wrong. An enemy has done this. See, it's a pity. You see, well, do you know why I said it's a pity? There are some of you that so many things have struck you in the past that should have been avoided, that you should have, dealt with before it ate into your bones and your blood, that now it's becoming too difficult for you to deal with them. You know why? Because you do not have this culture, this habit of checking your life. Yes, you do not have the culture of checking. Let me give you guys another example. I'm just citing example. It will open your eyes to see how people are being captured spiritually. I lived in South Africa for 8 years. In that 8 years, I knew that I have disconnected with my roots so much, because in South Africa, there are things that I know back home that you can't even have access to them in South Africa. There are certain rituals that you cannot even do because it's not difficult for them to say, oh, you are a ritualist, especially if you are a foreigner, So I knew. But I was doing things gradually, managing myself, knowing the kind of person that I am, that I'm a spiritual person. So I cannot just leave myself without certain rituals. So I was just doing little rituals here and there. But a day came, I had this strong push that if I don't leave South Africa, I might not survive the next year. Yes. I started having that strong feeling. Very strong. Very strong. And I did not trust to go to any spiritualist in South Africa because of language barrier. So I want you to understand all that, right? So I pushed and I made sure that I came back home. Now hear this. The first thing I did when I got to Nigeria was to go to my river. The river that I am connected to spiritually. That was the first thing I did. I went straight to the river. did some rituals, and tell the water goddess that I'm back. And I appreciated them for walking me through South Africa for 8 years. I'm back well and hearty. I did all the rituals. Do you know that immediately I finished, you know, if you are a spiritualist, you must know some persons who are higher than you. I called one man in the north. I said to him, please check for me. I went to the river to do sacrifices. Check if my sacrifices went through. Guess what he said? He said to me, you see, that sacrifice you just made removed untimely death from you. He said, your days was already numbered. Your days has been numbered. He said, but that sacrifice that you made removed, averted, I think I've shared this before. It averted untimely death. Do you get that? That sacrifice. So imagine if I didn't come back. I watched two of my friends in South Africa. One is from my village. We were staying in South Africa like brothers. He passed right there. The other guy was from Mozambique. They spied him because they wanted to take his phone from him. He was spied in South Africa. So I came back, did that ritual. Who wanted to buy me? Witches. Mine was witches. So that sacrifice was what averted it. So imagine if I came back and I didn't make, because I knew that I've been disconnected from my source. Some of you who live abroad today, some of you don't understand. You might be struggling making money abroad, but you will not be happy because you've been disconnected from your source. You are no longer in touch with your root. You are no longer in touch with your root. You've been disconnected. Yes, you've been disconnected. And you know the painful part? Even when you are abroad and you want to do certain things because you understand. Yeah, I believe that some of you are abroad, you have people who can check things for you, who can do. But you see where the problem is. When you pay certain persons to do certain rituals for you, they don't do it. They don't do it, which is bad and evil. They don't do those sacrifices. They will collect your money and not do the job. Which I've done, right? So when I started having that premonition that I need to go back home, else things will go wrong, I said, no, I have to fix my papers, which I did. If you are in South Africa as a foreigner, you will know that getting a paper in South Africa is not a joke. I fixed it. I came back home. So if I wake up tomorrow that I want to go back to South Africa, it's not a problem because I've settled a lot of things that can last me another 5-10 years. Do you get it? So why or how did we get here? We started by this talking about power, right? And taking control of your life and that of your children. Don't let anybody decide your fate or the fate of your children. Ask questions. Check your life. It's important. When you read the Bible, you hear stories like, and David inquired of the Lord. What kind of inquiry do you think that David did? That he got a feedback that God said, pursue, overtake, and recover all. What kind of inquiry? When you hear inquiry, what did you think? It was divination. Because they demonized divination, right? Religion demonized it. But that's exactly what David did. If it wasn't divination, what was David doing with ephod? Ephod in the Bible is a tool for divination till tomorrow. Go and check it out. Google it. What is an ephod? Ask Google, ask ChatGPT, what is an ephod? It's written right in your Bible, but you don't make research. So every time you hear that a prophet inquired of the Lord, what do you think they were doing? Divination. Divination, that's what they were doing. And there are men or women who are skilled in that. It's not given to everybody. Remember, David was a prophet. Why couldn't he just close his eyes and receive instructions like most of your prophets will claim? But he had to go to Saul. It was this Samuel. He had to go to Prophet Samuel and borrow the ephod, the divination cloth, for him to make inquiries and inquire of the Lord when the Philistines came to attack. But no, they made you believe that these things are evil. That's why somebody can sit down, go to witchcraft coven, go to a place where they sit down to say, we want to stop this person right here. I don't want this person's business to succeed. This person is in Europe. This person is in this country. As long as this person remains in Europe, they will come back with nothing. They will come back empty-handed. They must have multiple problems. And guess what? It will happen just the way they said it. And now you know you have problems. You know something is wrong with you. You know this is no longer the person you used to be. This cannot be ordinary because there is nothing you do that is working out. 10 years abroad, nothing is working out. You have put every effort in your business, nothing is happening. People who just started business yesterday, they are doing well. How come your own business is not doing well? Because an enemy has done this. And what is your only solution? You've chased prayers. You've chased different pastors for 5 years, for 10 years. Nothing has changed. Now, I want to ask you a question. Do you have to wait for 10 years for God to prove himself that he is God? No, do you have to wait for 10 years for God to prove that he's God? Hold on a minute. Think about it. Imagine you are 50 years and you are dealing with a lot of problems today. And it will take God 10, 15 years to solve your problems. How old do you think you would be by then? 60, 65. So what zeal and energy do you now have? You don't understand what I'm saying. There was this guy that called me from, I think from Owerri, yeah. So he called and said the fiancé gave him my number. That he wants to check something. I said, okay, send me your names. Meanwhile, pay first. He sent the money, sent his names. Guess what? When I finished checking, I called him. I said, this is what I saw. This. And truly, there was nothing good about what I saw about his life. You know what he said to me? So you didn't see me traveling abroad. It's only all these negative things that you saw. Then I laughed. I said, okay, maybe I was supposed to say things that I didn't see. He sounded funny and like someone that the fiancé actually forced. I said, my brother, I'm sorry. I told you what I saw. But you see your problem. If going to abroad is an issue or a big deal to you, that means you are still very far from reality. You pray to go to